So hey folks, and welcome back to the video. And on today's video we're going to be looking at TecBikeParts fork inserts. Now these are the progressive ones that I'm putting into the Triumph Bonneville T120. Now I've had this bike since December of last year and I've put about 650 miles on it now. And one thing I noticed was that the suspension on the front felt a little bit soft for my weight, which is 90 kilos. And also I noticed under heavy braking that the front end would dive a little bit. So I reached out to TecBikeParts. I'll pop a link in the description below. Now TecBikeParts are a great British company. They do a lot of parts for different motorcycles. Now the parts that I've opted for are their progressive spring forks, and these are fork inserts that you put into the motorcycle. It's pretty easy to do yourself. You don't need to take it to a garage if you're okay with a bit of spannering. What I'll do now is I'll just show you how easy these are to fit. So I'll pop the price on screen just now and let's head over to the garden and I'll run you through the fitting of them. Okay, so welcome back to the garden, and what we've got here is the Bonneville on its centre stand. We've actually put a jack right underneath the middle of the bike just to raise the front wheel off the ground. What I've done is laid the handlebars forward, so I've undone the centre clamp on the bars, removed those and put those forward. Now tools for the job, you're going to need a 30mm socket and wrench, you're going to need a 12mm spanner and some Allen keys. And as you can see, these are the TecBikeParts progressive fork springs, and then you've got some insert tubes to go in. Now here you can see the bars that I've just put forward, so that frees up the top nuts on top of the forks. I've actually put masking tape around these just to save the aluminium heads on the top for when I put the socket on just there. Now you can see the jack just under there, that's made by Sealy, or you could jack it up with a car jack. Just make sure you use some wood. Now I held the front wheel with my legs and I've just loosened the top nuts just there. Now as you can see just there, I've lifted the nut off the top, and now you need to get a spanner in here. Okay, so what you need is a 14mm spanner. Now with your 14mm spanner, keep that in place and just unscrew the cap and then take the top off. Now as you can see here, you've got the plunger, as I call it. And then you've got a insert that I want you to take out. That's the first plastic insert. Okay, so I'll first take the plastic insert out, just like so. Now we're going to get our coat hanger with a hook on. I'm going to go down and I'm going to take the spring out. Now when I bring the spring out, bring it out slowly so that you can get all the oil off of here, making sure not to drip it anywhere, and also making sure to keep that plunger up. Best to have a cloth just in case you get any oil on your hands, or use some gloves, but try not to drip the oil anywhere. Now you can see the difference between the spring on the right that came out, which is a non-progressive spring, and then you've got the progressive spring from TecBikeParts on the left. Also you've got the plastic tube on the right, original, and the TecBikeParts one on the left. Okay, so we're going to lower the new spring in, let that go all the way down, and then as you can see the centre pipe has gone all the way down, so I need to bring that back up with my coat hanger. Bring that back up, and then I'm going to put the spacer in, and then the plastic tube, and then now I can put the fork cap back on. Okay, so don't forget your spanner again, and literally just make sure that's at the top, and then I'm going to screw that back on. You might need to hold it just to get the first couple of threads started. Screw it down as much as you can, keeping hold of that nut, and then transfer your spanner into there. A little bit fiddly, but you'll get there in the end. Best thing to do with these type of things is just take your time. Okay, so that nut's at the top now, and we're just going to nip that up like so. Now we're just going to screw this back down. There's a little bit more spring in it to get it started, so just be careful on this not to cross thread any threads in there. Once you've got it going, just put it in finger tight. and then get your socket. Again, best to put your knees around the front wheel while you tighten this up, and then hold it tight and just nip it up. Not too tight, don't forget it's got an O-ring in there. If you wanted to torque it up with a torque wrench, you could do. And then just pick your masking tape off. Now if you've got any oil marks or anything like that that's just dripped out, make sure you get all of that up. As I thought, they've not changed it since the earlier versions, so you've only got that nut on the right hand side, not on the left, which makes life a little bit easier. And we're just going to take the metal spacer out on this side, also the washer, and then we're going to take the plastic tube out. Amazing what you can do with a coat hanger. So plastic tube out, and then slowly remove, making sure you don't drip anywhere as you take it out of there, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get our new fork spring. These fork springs, by the way, are about £75 from TecBikeParts. As you can see, more progressive on the top than lower down. So we'll slide the fork spring in, like so, and then we'll put our washer that we took out first, we'll put that in on top. Okay, so once you put the TecBikeParts black plastic tube in, you will then need to put another washer. Just make sure it sits on top and it's squared off, and then put the original metal shim back in. And then we should be ready for the fork cap to go in. And again, you've got some pressure on this side. Make sure you don't cross thread things. Screw it up by hand, and then use your 30mm socket to tighten her up. Like I say, just nip it up, don't over tighten it. And then you can take the masking tape off. All that there is to do now is put the handlebars back on. Just lift those over nicely, and then put your top clamp back on. Now it's probably best to sit on the bike and just get a good idea of where the bars were, and something that's comfortable for you. I think there is perfect. And then just nip them up, like so. Okay, so all there is to do now is take her out for a test run. Now, one thing that I've added to the Bonneville, you can just see there is a water bottle that's fit onto the SW Motouk Legend gear. This water bottle is from SW Motouk, and it actually fits onto the molly webbing just on the sides of the bags, this being a 9.8 litre bag, and I also have the 18 litre bags which it'll fit on the side of quite nicely for when I'm touring. But yeah, I'm just always gagging for a drink when I'm out riding on the bike. If there's no cafes around, it just enables me to carry some water on the bike. So yeah, the bike's looking pretty good. Okay, so welcome back, and we're out on the road testing how these fork springs compare to the originals. Now we'll discuss a little bit about why I've made the change, and the main reason is that the front was a little bit soft. If you follow the channel, you remember the rear shocks have preload adjustment on them. When it came from new, it was set on the softest setting. And I only noticed when I went out with my daughter on the back one evening that the rear was very, very soft. So I put in a couple of clicks and made it a little bit firmer, which made the back end absolutely superb. So the rear shocks from standard, the Triumph original ones, are actually very, very good, I find. Now the only thing that then was letting it down a little bit out of the box was the springs, obviously being non-adjustable front forks. They were a little soft for my liking. I weigh 90 kilos, I'm 6'2" tall, and the front end was a little bit spongy, but also I found under heavy braking the front end did dive a lot. Now I can tell you, this is probably the best bang for your buck that you can do to your Triumph Bonneville. And I'm not just saying that, it really is a big difference. I noticed it literally within 1 mile of riding the bike this evening. Now, because it's a progressive spring in the front, the top part of the spring takes up those little bumps and things in the road. Is the main thing that I can feel. It is a lot firmer on the front, and also when I do brake heavily, it doesn't dive as much as it did before. So yeah, definitely a big difference, and well worth the money. The front just feels more planted on the road as well now, and you know, when you used to go into fast corners and you used to brake going into the corner, it used to unsettle the bike a little bit. But what I find now coming down the road there on the twisties is that it doesn't. The front end is pretty firm as I'm going in on the braking. When I let off the brake, it doesn't actually bounce back up or start unsettling me in the corner. So yeah, really happy with the TecBikeParts progressive fork springs. Now you can just buy, like I did, the fork springs and put those in, or you can actually buy the caps as well that go on the top with some preload adjustment to fine tune them. These work pretty well for my 90 kilos, and I'm really happy with the way it feels. But if you were a little bit heavier than 90 kilos, then maybe you might want the yoke tops as well with the preload adjusters on. It might be something that I look to put on in the future, but just at the minute it feels really nicely set up now. Now, while browsing TecBikeParts website, I also noticed that they did centre stands for this, so while I went all original accessories, I could have gone through their website and saved myself a few pennies. So as I mentioned, I'll pop a link down in the description below to TecBikeParts, and also the link to the springs that I actually put onto this motorcycle. They were really easy to fit, like you've seen already in the video. It took about 30 minutes in total to do the job. Yeah, something that can be done at home by yourself if you're okay with using a couple of spanners. A little bit of ingenious with the coat hanger there to make sure you can get the stuff back out, the little washers and things that you need out of the fork legs. Now, I didn't change the fork oil. I left the original fork oil back in because it is a brand new bike and it's brand new fork oil. Like I say, I've only done about actually 766 miles now. Yeah, I'm getting the mileage in. Yeah, if the bike was older and the fork oil's a little bit dirty, then you might want to change the fork oil out. That's something that I generally wouldn't attempt to do myself. I'd probably take it to a bike garage for them to do it. And at the same time, they might as well fit your new fork springs and do it that way. But yeah, if you're like me and you've just bought the bike and you want to just change the springs, then that's the way to do it. So I'm just going to head over to South Lakes now to a chippy, grab some tea. But thanks for tuning in, folks. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And also, if you can give the video a like, guys, that really helps. So yeah, have a great Sunday, whatever you're doing, and a week at work. And I'll catch you on another video next weekend. Cheers, guys. Ciao for now.